I was born in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. I just moved to Barcelona in 2001 to study a series of workshops with Bigas Luna about digital film. I remember receiving a phone call from him in 2004 saying, listen, I think I have the idea for a new movie. No? Can you imagine a Spanish version of John Travolta? No, it's very similar to what is Jonah. No, just take like West Side Story as a reference, and we start planning the idea also for a musical. There was this TV show on MTV was called Pimp and Ride, but it was a very American version. No, we spent like more of a year just going to this kind of convention, of tuning convention all around Spain, especially in the south of all the coast of the Mediterranean. So I just jumped to the year 2006. Here I am in a terrace in Barcelona. This is El Tibidabo. This is the terrace of the production agency. We just start just making some essays and start working on the movie. I think this is like 3 months before I start shooting the movies. And I went just there in the terrace with the two main characters, with the Veronica Chegui and Laia Martí, just to shoot the scene that you just saw in this kind of clip. I think this is the first time that we saw Veronica Chegui with her dressing like the Juani. And we were very, very impacted by this scene. I was the second unit director, and one of the very, very interesting thing that this movie had, that this movie was shot in 35 millimeter, but also in digital video. Probably the 30% of the movie was shot with this camera in other format and in digital. And I remember taking the train to Reus, where Bigas lived, to see you with this huge smile, just knowing that my role was especially what I dreamed, no? Just helping a great director with my knowledge, with my point of view. Also, if you compare, this is a 35 millimeters. Can you notice the difference between the two textures? This is digital, and this is 35 millimeters. It's a huge difference. This is 35 millimeters, and this is digital. Again, 35 millimeters, 35 millimeters, and this is digital. I think we made that like 12 or 15 times, no? Just picking all the pieces of rice inside the paella and just start over the image. I really enjoy sharing these memories.
And it's interesting because there's a cross-reference here with the actual story of the film. But he was certainly part of the youth culture that the film was trying to portray and also attract. And even the house, and I want to talk a little bit about the props and the set, which is so important, the mise en scène, so everything that we see in the frame, the world of the character. Bigas Luna very famously said that his trilogy of Iberian portraits was in fact inspired by an English friend who visited him in Spain and was completely shocked to see Hamlets hanging in every bar in Madrid. And I said before that Yo Soy la Juani was to an extent part two, or the 2000s version of the 1992 Jamón Jamón. And I just wanted to highlight that Bigas Luna planned to continue with these projects, this obsession with Iberia and Iberian icons. In this sort of jail, you can see the gate becomes almost like a symbol of their oppression, the kind of situation where La Juani was trapped, also with all that fencing around her. An interesting contrast, the bridges, the two bridges that we see there in the film, which represent the escape route of La Juani, perhaps to Madrid or even further. Which of course, again, is a symbol for fate, economic, financial fate, also a romantic fate. This is a clip from Jamón Jamón. The last point really that I want to cover is the gendered spaces, how the mise en scène again is used with the lighting, but also all the props to reconstruct the idea of femininity and masculinity, and these two opposite worlds. And all the hearts, all the romantic imagery, the pinks, this very soft palette that reminds again of those Hollywood musicals with the pink Cadillac, I think it is in there. But also importantly, the idea of the romantic story in the photos of the couple that contrasts sharply with the images of the naked ladies that populate the wall of the garage. She's dreamy, surrounded by hearts all the time and pink colors, and at the same time sexualized And that teddy bear representing the contrast with the t-shirt. But wardrobe is also important because remember, La Juani is representative of a new generation. So a new generation, and in youth cultures, every youth culture from the 1950s through to today, from the mods, the rockers, the punks, they all have their own outfits. So it represents youth culture, global Spain, the brands are English, American, global, and then consumerism, but also importantly, sexual liberation of women. And in this selection of stills from the film, I'm very interested in the lighting. Also, Santiago talked before about the tower, the long shot of Juani and Jonah, but they are in a sort of fight. They are separate in the frame. Compare that with the two shot that we have, again, on long shot of the two girls together celebrating their friendship. Again, the contrast between the light and the darkness here, when they were in the periphery, they were very much dark spaces. Compare that with the light, with the glamour, with the fantasy of the scenes in Madrid. Already they are posing as actresses.
Quiero que te amo, que sin ti aquí me muero, ¿lo entiendes? Que te quiero, mi vida, te quiero.
Aire por tu pelo, estrellas en el cielo, la luna tras las nubes.